fearless leader, your champion of tourism, President and CEO of the Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau, Chris Watkins.
John, come back up here. By the way, I didn't write the fearless part, but anyway, I did want to thank John Bookwalter. He has been our chairman of the board throughout 2010 and 2011, and he will be going off our board as of December 31st. So I did want to say, on behalf of the Tri-City Visitor and Convention Bureau's board of directors, and by all means our staff, we want to thank you so very much. You've been a great leader, and your guidance has been very much appreciated. So with that, wherever this is.
A glass of water, great, thank you. There was one in there, honestly.
To Chairman John Bookwalter, in grateful appreciation for your leadership in serving the community and the tourism industry, we thank you. Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending our 42nd annual meeting of the Tri-City Visitor and Convention Bureau. What an exciting time to be in the tourism industry, and I have said that every year for the last 16 years, and every year it just keeps getting better and better. And 2011 has truly been a banner year for the industry in both Benton and Franklin counties, and we are definitely soaring to new heights. And I planned this jet going over. Good timing. Anyway, and it has been a steady climb for the past few years, and 2011 in the Tri-Cities has had the good fortune to experience an 8.5% growth in hotel occupancy, while the industry statewide averaged 4 to 5%. This is particularly remarkable when you consider that this rate of growth has been ongoing for 3 consecutive years. And if our hotels are doing well, that translates into an increase in receipts for local attractions, for our wineries, our retail, and professional services, which in turn generates tax revenues for our local jurisdictions, and better yet, it helps offset the taxes that you and I have to pay. Now, with such positive news, it would be easy to become distracted, but while we celebrate our current success, we need to keep an eye on the horizon, as there may be some challenges ahead of us, and certainly with the stimulus dollars invested at Hanford coming to an end, we expect a reduction in inbound business and government travel. However, I am pleased to report that given the Visitor and Convention Bureau's current programs and our ability to adapt to change quickly, we are well equipped to soar above any challenges that the future may bring. Excuse me, I'm suffering a little bit of a cold here, so bear with me. I'm going to just take a few minutes to briefly highlight the strategies that we do have in place. Broad-based support of the community is the cornerstone of our success. And thanks to our industry partners, which include many of you in this room, we have been able to build a very cohesive tourism team of interconnected jurisdictions, organizations, and people from diverse business, civic, and social backgrounds. We have achieved an optimal balance of this in regards to membership, which is evidenced by 704 dues-paying members. So we're about 50 members ahead of where we were last year about this time. Most of our member investors understand the synergy created by a regional, cooperative, and unified destination marketing plan, and they understand tourism is an investment with strong returns. The ongoing support from our members has given the Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau the distinction of having the second largest membership of any bureau in the state of Washington, with Seattle being first. And we thank all of you for your investment in tourism. And travel and tourism is fiercely competitive and requires a strategic plan. One of our strategies is television advertising. And television helps create a broad visual awareness of a destination. Just as we have in previous years, in 2012, we will again invest $60,000 in television advertising in the Puget Sound region. We will leverage that investment into television and placements worth $120,000, and we will complement that with print and internet-based advertising. We're very excited about our new television ads produced by Focal Point Marketing, which urges potential visitors to think Tri-Cities. And so with that, I'd like to share those ads with you now.
Thinking about getting away? Think Tri-Cities.
Think 300 Days of Sunshine.
Think adventure!
Think Oasis.
Think colorful.
Think fresh. Think good times. Think memories.
Did we mention sunshine?
Your weekend starts here.
To plan your weekend getaway, check out visittricities.com. Tri-Cities, Washington. Thinking about getting away? Think Tri-Cities.
Think unexpected! Think sunshine! Think gourmet.
Think relaxation.
Think uplifting.
Think down to earth.
Did we mention sunshine?
Think escape.
Your weekend starts here.
To plan your weekend getaway, check out visittricities.com. Tri-Cities, Washington.
Well, what do you think, Tri-Cities? As pleased as we are with the commercials, they are just one component of our integrated marketing strategy that we have developed. Those commercials will be supported by paid print advertising and media outreach program. And media outreach is when we are pitching the Tri-Cities story to travel writers throughout the nation. Media outreach is a very important because when you mention the Tri-Cities as a go-to spot in quality of life and travel publications, it leaves a resonating message that is more subtle than advertising, but can be long-lasting and more compelling than paid advertisement. So year to date, we have 65 positive stories that have been published about our Tri-Cities region. We then build on the exposure with internet marketing, blogs, social media, and consumer e-newsletters, creating a multifaceted approach to marketing. And I'm pleased to note that as of today, we have 10,150 Facebook fans and over 2,500 consumers that receive our Your Weekend Starts Here notifications. Combined, that's nearly 13,000 consumers weekly who receive our marketing messages in a quick, efficient, and inexpensive manner. Another key component for a vibrant tourism economy is creating a sense of place and building an infrastructure that supports our tourism industry. We are so fortunate to have that spectacular Columbia River that runs through our community, and it serves as the base on which to build recreational activities, parks, trails, restaurants, and retail space. The Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau established the Tri-Cities River Shore Enhancement Council along with our local jurisdictions back in 1996, and we've accomplished many, many great things since its inception. For example, the completion of the 23-mile paved Sacagaway Heritage Trail, lowering the levees on both sides of the river, enhancing our riverside parks, and lighting the cable bridge, to name a few. And all of these projects were the result of our first River Shore Enhancement Master Plan. Throughout 2011, we have been working very closely with our local jurisdictions on a new River Shore Master Plan, and which will be the impetus for more exciting projects along our river. The end product will be an enhanced shoreline, which will attract tourists, but will also create a better quality of life for local residents as well. So look for more information on that in January. The Bureau continues to partner and work with other communities and community leaders and individuals to help protect and highlight our region's rich history and culture. For example, the Ice Age Floods Institute, the Friends of Badger Mountain, Washington Wine Commission, the Confluence Project, the Hanford Reach Interpretive Center, the B-Reactor Museum, and many others have been the recipients of the Bureau's staff time as well as our resources. And in 2012, we will continue to work with our partners as we plant the seed now for future visitor opportunities. And speaking of future growth opportunities, we are enthusiastically awaiting exciting things to come from our Tri-Cities Regional Public Facilities District. They have a real tough job ahead of them. They've narrowed it down to 4 projects, and any of the projects under consideration would only add to the expanding portfolio of Tri-Cities attractions. Conventions and sports marketing are the backbone of our tourism efforts. Each year, we make over 4,000 sales calls, host 60 meeting planners and sports tournament directors for tours of our hotels, meetings, and sports venues, and we issue 200 RFP or sales leads to our industry partners. In addition, we participated in 8 regional and national industry trade shows where we promoted the Tri-Cities region to potential visitors. As a result of all of our efforts, we will book close to 130 convention and sports tournaments in 2011 that will contribute over $32 million to our local economy. And frequently, these type of events offer delegates their first-time introduction to our Tri-Cities region, and once they learn about our community, they return with their friends or even business associates, further developing and helping our local economy. And last but not least are the services we provide for our guests. The Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau is frequently the first contact our out-of-town visitors have with our community, be they families looking for a weekend getaway, companies looking for a place to host a board meeting, or part of the growing movement to relocate to the Tri-Cities for retirement. The Visitor and Convention Bureau is the first resource that they usually turn to. We produce and provide over 70,000 visitor guides to interested parties. We'll handle about 15,000 inquiries by phone each year, and we manage a website that will attract over 300,000 unique visits. It's vitally important that the first impression is a good one, and we take that responsibility very seriously. The recent addition of 2 new satellite visitor centers, and one in Richland City Hall, the other at Pasco Track, has made it more convenient for visitors to obtain information about our local businesses and our attractions. I truly believe that tourism is what makes a community vibrant. It breathes life into a region and creates a better quality of life for us all. And it takes a focused group of individuals to make it happen. In addition to my great board of directors and our many, many volunteers, I also have the privilege of working with a very dedicated, hardworking staff of professionals that contribute daily to the success of the tourism industry. I'm going to recognize our tourism staff by asking them to stand, and when I call their name, audience, if you could please hold your applause until they are all standing. I'm going to go ahead and start off with Kathy Atkinson. She's our sales administrative assistant. Hector Cruz, our sports development manager. Alex Hedges, sales manager. Heather Kuykendall, office manager. Summer Mohandro, sales manager. Ellie Moore, group housing and service coordinator. Julie Moore, member services. They must be all working in the trade show room because I'm not seeing any of them. Michelle Chun, community relations director. Gretchen Guerrero, director of sales. Sue Watt, information specialist. Jordan Youngs, director of marketing and public relations. And Kim Schukert, vice president of operations. Please join me in recognizing your tourism team. In closing, I would again like to thank our cities of Kennewick, City of Pasco, City of Richland, and City of West Richland for their investment in tourism, as well as their investment in time on our board of directors and our many committees. And I'd also like to acknowledge our diamond investors that have helped elevate tourism to a new level. First, our thanks to Washington River Protection Solutions for their overall investment in all of our programs. Thank you, Jerry. Bechtel, who has been our corporate sponsor of River Shore Enhancement Council for the past 12 years. Battelle for sponsoring our heritage and ecotourism programs for the past 11 years. Mission Support Alliance for their sponsorship of our marketing and media outreach programs. Thank you, Deanna. Washington Closure Hanford for sponsoring our public relations program. And the Three Rivers Convention Center for not only sponsoring our corporate and our convention marketing efforts, but also for all their hard work in helping us to put on this event this afternoon. And I want to again thank you all very much for your investment in tourism. This concludes my annual report to the membership. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn the meeting over to our Visitor and Convention Bureau board member, Ron Foraker, with the Port of Pasco, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Chris, and good afternoon to all. As we've heard, the Tri-Cities has been somewhat fortunate in these difficult economic times. The question at hand is, what strategies should we deploy moving forward to ensure the future success of tourism, as well as continued success for our individual businesses? What lessons can we learn from others on how to position ourselves so that we can soar to new heights? Alaska Airlines is a case study in how to succeed during tough economic times, despite the difficult industry challenges. Here locally, Alaska Airlines has provided air service to our community for the past 30 years and currently provides 6 daily flights to Seattle. The Tri-Cities Airport greatly values the relationship that we have built with Alaska Airlines over the years, and we're very fortunate to have the chairman and CEO of Alaska Airlines, Bill Ayer, here this evening to provide us with some insight. Mr. Ayer holds a degree in economics from Stanford University and received his master's degree in business administration from the University of Washington. He currently sits on the board of directors for a number of organizations, including Puget Energy, the Museum of Flight, and the University of Washington Business School Advisory Board. Mr. Ayer has over 25 years of experience in the aviation industry and joined Alaska Airlines in 1995 after spending several years with Horizon Airlines. In 2002, he was named Chief Executive Officer of Alaska Airlines and currently holds the position of Chairman and CEO. Under his leadership, the airline has grown to be the nation's 9th largest airline, and J.D. Power & Associates has named Alaska highest in customer satisfaction among traditional network carriers for the last 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Bill Ayer.
Well, thank you, Ron. I hadn't been here for a couple of years, and Ron gave me kind of an update on what's going on in the region, and we drove in from the airport together, and I'm just amazed at the growth. So let me just start by congratulating all of you for what you're doing here. I've came here with Horizon way back in 1982 when we opened Pasco in the Tri-Cities area, and it has been one of our best markets, frankly, ever since. And I've been fortunate to get back here on occasion, but I say it's been a couple-year gap, and just way to go. Congratulations to all of you. How about a round of applause for what you're doing here? And I think more generally, this is about celebrating what's going right, and there's a lot going right in the Tri-Cities. And we live in a bit of a negative time, I think, in our world, and spending time to both recognize the successes and to find new opportunities to improve from here is exactly the right thing to be doing. So being positive and optimistic is an important leadership trait, and Chris and your team, you're certainly doing this really, really well. So again, congratulations. I want to first introduce a couple of folks that came with me this afternoon from Alaska and Horizon. First of all, Tim Ackman. Timmy out there? I haven't seen you for a little bit. There he is. Tim Ackman's our regional manager for sales and community marketing out of Portland. And Rhonda Muth. There's Rhonda. She's our station manager in Pasco. Many of you probably see Rhonda when you're going in and out of the airport on Alaska and Horizon. And many of you might also know Candace Payne, and she is on vacation. She's a salesperson that's been in this community for a long time out of Spokane. So Candace would be here this afternoon, except that she is out on a well-deserved vacation. How about a round of applause for our two folks here? So how about a quick show of hands of how many of you are MVPs or even gold members in the Alaska Mileage Plan? Quite a number of you. That's terrific. Well, thank you for your business. I have a little bit of a deal with our marketing folks that I will try to talk to a couple of frequent flyers a week. And so come see me at the reception. I need to get some credit with the marketing folks. My last couple of weeks have been a little bit slow. So thank you very much for your business. It's important because this is a people business. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but customers basically are in charge. And the right leadership team will spend a lot of time understanding the customer's perspective on the service, whatever business you're in. And so I want to, even at, it's every level in the company, we want to make sure that we're well in touch with our customers, what they're thinking, what their preferences are. And in this world, things are changing rapidly. So you can't have enough customer contact, enough frontline understanding of what's really going on to make sure that you're doing the right things as you build a company. And so we'll all be around at the reception to chat with you, and do look forward to that very much. As I said, I have fond memories of this region. I actually started, after I got my degree at University of Washington, I had a job with Piper Aircraft Company. And they gave me a little airplane to tool around the West Coast. That was kind of my region, was the whole West Coast. But I used to come into all the airports here in the Tri-Cities and call on the various flight schools and fixed base operators and so forth. And then, as I said, in 1981, when Horizon started, I actually started with Horizon in '82, but we had the opportunity to kind of help open up this market. And it has been one of the best markets for Horizon. It was back then, and I think it is still to this day. So again, this has been a place that I've spent some time at, and very, very impressed with what you've all done. So I think you folks have a very impressive resume. You start with a strong foundation. You've got this great history dating all the way back to the early 1800s with Lewis and Clark. That's Clark and Lewis, if you heard some of those Horizon radio spots a while back. Certainly the World War II work and the nuclear energy research and the whole Hanford effort. You have a growing, and I get all the economic publications. You have a growing population, and frankly one of the strongest economies in the Northwest. You have, I think at this point you can say you have a world-class wine industry, which certainly has driven excellent growth in tourism. And you certainly have outstanding recreational activity. I think the videos hit this really, really well in terms of the water sports, taking advantage of that 300 days of sunshine. So water sports and golf and fishing and hunting and so forth, and the river. So you're making the best of what you have here, and again, it's very, very impressive. And I think that's all led to a diversified economy, a motivated workforce, and a very attractive lifestyle. So even with all of that growth, I think you would all agree that this region maintains the feeling of a smaller community with the high quality of life that comes with that. And an important aspect of that are the connections and the partnerships, the things that Chris was just talking about throughout not only the region, but I think the entire country. And that's really, really important. And we'll talk in our business about you don't have to do this stuff alone. You can find partners that help you make the changes and build the kind of business that you want. So Alaska Air Group and this region actually have a great deal in common. And our company is striving for many of the same things. And that's offering all the advantages of a bigger network airline while retaining a closeness to customers so we can understand that customer perspective I talked about. We want to have a small company feel for our employees, and we want to build those connections to our communities, and we want to be a good partner. And we want to preserve a nimbleness to quickly respond to opportunities and respond to competitive threats. So there's a lot. We have a lot in common with a community like the Tri-Cities. We are, I think, now the 7th largest airline. We used to be 9th, but there were some mergers, so we got to move up automatically. But we're only 3% of the domestic seats in the country. So we're still small, and we can still do all the things I just talked about. And this nimbleness idea and being close to customers and close to employees is very, very important. So I think you all have a great story here in the Tri-Cities and some exciting plans to keep this region vibrant. And if history is any indicator, I think you will do just fine. But it is a challenging time. And the national economy isn't improving very quickly. And continuing to win requires a solid plan, and it requires being persistent. So as well as you're doing on so many fronts, I know that there are many challenges out there, and it's exactly the same for our company. What we also have in common is an excellent reputation, which means that we both have this solid foundation from which to pursue new opportunities. So let me tell you a little bit about our transformation over the past decade at Alaska Air Group and some of the important lessons that we've learned along that journey that might be of interest or of value to you. And the most important thing I can tell you right up front is that business, just like what you're all doing here today, it's all about people. And it's about making changes, and it's about being determined to get it right and then sticking with it. And after I talk about some of that, I want to tell you about one thing. We put out a press release today. I want to tell you about an exciting new development at our company that I just think you'll find interesting. So I think most of you would agree that no matter what business you're in, these are difficult times. So if you want to feel a little bit better about your business, let me tell you about airlines. The airline industry is extremely competitive, it's capital intensive, it's labor intensive, it's highly regulated, it's very highly taxed, actually more than cigarette or liquor, and not surprisingly, Congress is trying to get more out of the airline industry. Our bottom line is very sensitive to the overall economy and to the price of oil. And now here's the best part. We have little ability to fix any of those structural weaknesses. So other than that, it's a really easy business. So I bet you're feeling better already, right? Well, here's a famous quote from Warren Buffett about the airline industry. The worst sort of business is one that grows rapidly, requires significant capital, and then earns little or no money. Think airlines. If a far-sighted capitalist had been present at Kitty Hawk, he would have done his successors a huge favor by shooting Orville down. But we decided to get in this business anyway and make the best of it, and I'll tell you a little bit of that story. So the decision to start down a new path at Alaska Air Group really began during those very, very difficult days immediately following 9/11. And traffic just dried up overnight, revenues plummeted, and it was apparent that we were going to need to make some very big changes to our business model just to survive, just to be viable. But we decided that we were absolutely going to find a path that would work. And as I look back today, and here we are, a major recession and an oil shock or two later, I think we can say that we have found a way to make this work and work pretty darn well. But I'm quick to add that it is a challenge every day, and we're careful never to declare victory because, you know, as soon as you do that, then something else happens, right? So we started out this transformation by recognizing that our company had a lot of opportunity for improvement. But this is an important point. The recognition took a while. So it's easy to defend the status quo in your organization if you have a recent history of some success. And you think about the couple of years leading up to 2000 and 2001, 98 and 99. Those were pretty good years in the economy. And so we thought that maybe things weren't so bad, and maybe 2001 and 2002 were kind of anomalies, and maybe things would kind of recover on their own. Well, think about what the conversations must have been like at companies like Lehman Brothers and Washington Mutual and a bunch of other failed companies. Think about what those boardroom conversations must have been like as they slid into the abyss. They must have thought that this too is temporary and things will get better. So we had that problem of recent success, and you want to think that when you have success that you caused some of it. And in our case, I think we maybe thought management had more to do with those couple of years of success than we really did. It was more a matter of a rising tide lifts all boats. In a strong economy in the airline industry, you almost can't help but make a little bit of money, and so we did that in 98 and 99. And fuel prices were very low. That was the other thing. So by the time it took us till 2002 or so before we said there's a fundamental shift here that we need to make, and the change, the external change is really structural, and we better respond with our own structural changes if we want to be successful. Well, if you strip away the technical details in our business, and details are important, and there are a bunch of them, but if you just take those aside for a minute, as I said earlier, this is fundamentally a people business, and it's about creating loyal customers through engaged employees, not unlike many of your businesses, especially if you're in the tourism area. I've heard airlines described as the ultimate team sport because you can't operate in silos. You have to have people working together. And as we look back at where we are today, I think our company, we've never had better teamwork. And as a consequence of that, we've never had better results in every area of the business. But silos don't work when you're trying to create a great product for customers at a competitive price. Well, since business is all about people, then leadership has to be a critical factor. And as I said, in today's world, with all of the changes going on externally, what leadership needs to be doing is leading change. And what we know is that we need to be changing at least as fast as our environment if we're going to be successful. So the greatest leadership challenge then becomes making the required changes to the business, some of which negatively affects employees, like layoffs and pay cuts, and at the end of the day, still having an engaged, enthusiastic employee group taking really good care of customers. And that's the part I think I wrestled with the most, was viability is really, really important. And the changes we needed to make were the ones we needed to make. But when you impact the very people that you count on to do the great job for your customers, it's a real internal emotional struggle. And I went through a bit of that. So we said up front that we wouldn't compromise our values in the course of making these necessary and sometimes dramatic changes. We are only one of, I think, 2 airlines now, us and American, legacy airlines, that has restructured outside of bankruptcy, which means that we've done the hard work ourselves, and the changes were not dictated by lawyers or a bankruptcy judge. So we decided that bankruptcy was not a strategy. And I have a lot of confidence in the future because of our team's experience over the past decade working through the transformation. See, if somebody else comes in and does the hard stuff for you, you don't learn a lot. And the environment continues to be challenging. And so I think we now have a team that's been to the school of hard knocks here in terms of how you really transform a business and how you decide on changes, how you develop a strategy, and importantly, how you execute those changes. And the other airlines that sort of cried uncle and said, we don't know how to do this ourselves, bring in the room full of lawyers in the bankruptcy process, they didn't learn nearly as much. So that makes me more bullish on our business as we look to the future, because we do know for sure it's going to continue to be a challenging environment. So our mindset is that we're still very much in a transformation or a turnaround situation, and we need to continue to be not shy about taking the right business risks and trying new things. And the other mindset, and this is important, and I think you folks do this really, really well, is to be realistic about what you're facing and at the same time optimistic about what you can do. So there's a good couple of words, realistic and optimistic. So you're realistic, that means you're going to face the facts, you're going to deal with the situation head on and completely, but you're going to be optimistic about your ability to do it. And the more you do it, the more optimistic you get because you've had success making changes. So, and communicating that balance of realism and optimism to employees, I found, is really, really important. So we're very optimistic about our long-term prospects, but that's only because we've been very realistic about the changes that we've needed to make and because of our improving capability to make those changes. So through the process, we've learned a lot of lessons, and let me quickly give you my 7 top lessons that I've learned and we've learned over the last decade. And as I said, thanks to our fabulous people, we are achieving our goals in almost every operational, customer service, and even in spite of fuel expense. By the way, fuel for us was up 35% in the third quarter versus third quarter of 2010. In spite of that, 2011 is shaping up really, really well. So here's what we've learned, and maybe hopefully some of this can be applicable to what you're doing in the region. Actually, I have 8 lessons. Sometimes I have 7. Today I have 8. Okay? The first one, what 7 was about was 7 consecutive years of profitability. That's where we are today, which is quite a long ways from where we came. So the first lesson is in the words of Jim Collins. You've all seen the Jim Collins stuff in Good to Great. Get the right people on the bus. And as I said, change is all about people. The leadership team and the tone at the top are really important. And the board of directors, that is the very top of an organization. And the board of directors plays a key role in setting that tone and supporting the direction. Number 2 is to create a sense of urgency. So we lost over $200 million in about a 3-year period. And I think we could have qualified for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy if we'd wanted to. We just rejected that notion, as I said, kind of out of hand because it didn't fit our values. But we were not, the trend line was not good. Don't worry about perfection when you start making changes. Don't analyze things to death. You'll never do anything. Get the direction right and get started. And expect resistance and be persistent. I just read a great quote about this. Some people change when they see the light, others when they feel the heat. Like that? It's pretty good. So the point is, do what it takes, but don't get talked out of it, because lots and lots of people will want to talk you out of what you need to do. The third point is focus on 1 or 2 big ideas. Early on, we tried to do too many things all at once. You've all been to your organization's annual planning sessions where you walk out with lists that are way too long, and you say to yourself, why do we keep doing this? We actually have full-time jobs, and we can't ever going to get all this stuff done in the next 12 months. So we did that for many years, and we came back and we were honest with ourselves and said, you know, we got too much on this list. We're not getting enough of it done. Why don't we instead focus on 1 or 2 big ideas that are cross-divisional, that involve all the employees, that'll really move the company forward. So at your next planning session, ask the question, if we only did one or two things over the next 12 months that would be most impactful for our company and our future, what would they be? Not 20 or 30, one or two. And it might take you a full day to get that, to get a consensus on the one or two. It might take all week. But that's really important work, because now you're going to work on something that you can actually get done and is going to move the company forward. So, for example, this year's key initiative for us is to improve revenue. Prior initiatives were about the operational improvement, on-time performance, baggage performance, and before that we had a couple of years on reducing costs and managing our budgeting, improving our budgeting process. Number 4, what you measure gets done. That is really, really true. If you don't have metrics on things, you can yabba-dabba-do and talk a blue streak, but never quite know whether you're doing it or not. Everybody wants to win, and I think it's up to management to set up a system so people can win. Be very clear about the goals. Don't use acronyms. Don't make it too complicated. Most of the stuff we're working on is pretty straightforward. It gets buried in funny talk, but it's pretty darn straightforward. Make it understandable to a 12-year-old. And then do frequent updates and report outs on where you are on those initiatives and against the metrics. 5, and this is an important one, focus on what you can control over the long term. So in our business, there are a lot of external factors like oil prices or the economy, and it would be easy to think that the future is mostly out of our control. But the business, as we found over the last decade, our business is actually a lot more controllable than we first thought. And unlike some of our competitors, we decided that hope was not a good strategy, just like bankruptcy is not a good strategy. So figure out what you can control and go about controlling it. The 6th point is, and I mentioned this earlier, be totally and completely customer focused. So our selection of these initiatives, whether that's about reducing costs or improving the operation, those are because customers want low fares and customers want a reliable schedule. And the bottom line is that customers ultimately decide whether we're successful or not. We can say anything we want about how we think we're doing, but go talk to our customers and they'll tell you. And they vote with their feet and they vote with their wallets. So the customer's opinion is the only one that really matters. Point 7, and this is one I'm still learning. As a leader, don't confuse being popular with doing the right thing, at least in the short term. So making tough calls is what leaders do, and if you run around worried about whether people like you or what the politics are, I guarantee you, you will fall short of what's required. And the saving grace in this is that if you do the right things, you'll be well regarded after the fact, but just know that there'll be a lot of noise during the process. You don't want to be doing polling on what people think of you and whether they think these are good ideas. You need to decide the strategy, and you need to just put your head down and go execute the plan. And the final point is to develop win-win strategic partnerships, and we've done that successfully with our airline alliances. Other airlines call us Switzerland because we have partnerships with just about everybody. And our biggest agreements are with Delta and American Airlines. And this partnership idea extends to suppliers like Boeing, and importantly, it extends to communities like the Tri-Cities. And you folks have been an excellent partner for us over many, many years. So let me state 4 other simple principles that we've adopted as we've transformed our company. And these are things that your parents or grandparents probably told you. And again, they're not very complicated. Number 1, don't buy things you can't afford. 2, don't borrow money you can't pay back. Point 3 is don't do deals you don't understand. And 4, if it doesn't seem right, it probably isn't. Now, that is not exactly rocket science. But those failed companies that I talked about a few minutes ago, I bet if they had those ideas when they were sitting in their boardroom talking about their business, they might have ended up in a pretty different place. So again, this stuff isn't all that complicated. A lot of it's just common sense. And but you know, you need to be deliberate, and you need to be specific about what it is you want to do. So we plan on continuing to run our business in accordance with these rules, and I think they're good no matter what business you're in. I would add that we certainly haven't been perfect. I'm not here patting ourselves on the back. I'm just trying to share some of what we've been through. We've learned a lot. It's all people. We have an outstanding team. We've got strong values, and we have an incredible dedication to getting it right. So let me quickly just mention the announcement from today, which you may have seen or you may see on the news, and that is that we have announced that we're going to be the first U.S. airline that will be using biofuels on multiple flights. And this starts on Wednesday. And we're going to have our Seattle, Washington, D.C. flight flown on biofuels, and 3 of the Horizon Seattle, Portland Q400 flights. And the reason that we're doing this is to demonstrate that this fuel is technically viable. This is all really, really safe. It's all approved by everybody and the engine manufacturers and the FAA. We're running a 20% blend of biofuel with regular jet fuel. And we want to demonstrate that there's a demand for this among both airlines and our customers. And we're going to do it for about a 3-week period. We're not sure exactly what the duration, but 75 flights in those markets that I just mentioned. And what we're really trying to do here, and there's a lot of people working on this along with us, we're really trying to jumpstart a whole new industry. And interestingly, the feedstocks, one of the possible feedstocks for this would be grown right here in Washington State. So this isn't like what's going to happen in the next 6 months or a year in terms of any big use of this, but it is certainly feasible, and I think we do need to figure out alternatives to foreign oil. The problem that the airlines have with oil prices, and we all have with oil prices, is first of all, they're high, but they're also really volatile. They go up a lot, and then sometimes they come down. They don't come down as much as they go up, obviously, but they're not predictable. And so we need it, and we don't have alternatives. We don't have electrical power for airplanes. We don't have ethanol. We don't have any alternative at all. We got foreign oil and jet fuel. And so we need some alternatives in this marketplace, and that's what we're doing. So if you see that announcement, that's kind of what that's all about, and I think it's pretty darn neat. So another first for Alaska. We got a lot of technology we've been using over the years for various things, from satellite navigation to airport check-in for the customer check-in processes on the internet and so forth. And so this is very consistent with what we've been doing with technology for a long time. So back to the similarities between Alaska and this region. You, like us, have a strong foundation from which to build on the future, and the main ingredients for both of us are continued good leadership, a strong vision, and a lot of persistence. And my sense is that you already have all of these, and we think we do as well. And for me, being part of the team that is changing the course of a company is very exciting. And improving the future for your region will benefit thousands of people for decades to come. And to use your theme here tonight, it looks like we're both soaring to new heights. So good luck with all that you're doing, and thanks again for the opportunity to come talk with you. Thank you.
When I read about Bill in Seattle Magazine and read about the 4 rules, I thought, wow, I need to bring this guest speaker in so that we all have that message, whether it's a jurisdiction, you're an elected official, or whether you're a small business or a large business. And I'm so pleased, not only did I get the 4 rules, but I also got 7 more rules, and I've written them all down. So, Bill, thank you so much. Your presentation was excellent, informative, and enlightening, and we greatly appreciate your time and taken out of your busy schedule, so much appreciated. And now for our Tourism Champion of the Year. Each year, we like to recognize an individual or a group that has contributed to enhancing the tourism industry. The award is the most prestigious award that our Visitor and Convention Bureau extends and recognizes. And we like to recognize extraordinary efforts on behalf of the tourism industry and the Tri-Cities. And I'd like to ask Tim Frederickson with Ben Franklin Transit, our past chairman and longtime Bureau supporter, to announce this year's special tribute to a tourism champion.
Good evening. When Chris asked me to participate in this program, and particularly in this part of the program, I was at first humbled, and then very happy to do so because of who we honor tonight. Leadership is defined as the act of guiding, providing stewardship or influence. Integrity describes an individual with high standards who lives by a strong set of values and who demonstrates personal honesty. Each year when the Bureau staff evaluates the potential candidates to determine which individual or group will receive the organization's highest honor, They consider a number of factors: tenure in the industry, exemplary service, attention to detail, accomplishment, and of course, the things I mentioned already, leadership and integrity. Given these standards, there was one candidate that immediately came to mind. But recognizing this individual would require us to adjust how we announce the honoree. So this year, rather than reciting all of the positive virtues of our winner first and then saving the name for the end of my presentation, I will announce the honoree now. On behalf of the Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau, I would like to announce a special tourism tribute to our 2011 Travel and Tourism Champion of the Year and award our highest honor posthumously to Jim Marash. Now I'm going to say a few words about the great qualities that made Jim an important part of the travel and tourism industry, and such an important friend to the Visitor and Convention Bureau. Hello. Maybe it's just the right thing to do. As past chairman of the Bureau and a fellow longtime board member, I always greatly appreciated Jim's contributions of his wisdom, knowledge, and insight. He was a leader not only locally but on a national level. He acted as an ambassador of goodwill with great pride in our community. He was an individual with vision who 30 years ago began tirelessly working to improve on one of the most fundamental components of tourism and travel, our airport and the services provided by it. He pushed for well-managed growth, cultivating relationships while always keeping his sight set on the desired end result. He was highly respected and able to leverage the contacts that he made throughout the country to ensure that the Tri-Cities Airport was always on the top of the list when funding decisions were being made. Not an easy task for a small airport, but Jim made it happen and was always very unassuming about his role in such successes. To him, it was just a matter of doing his job. He did it so well. Jim represented the Port of Pasco on the TC-VCB Board of Directors for 8 years. He also served on the board of Cadillac Regional Medical Center and was a past president of the American Association of Airport Executives. He's also a past president of the Pasco-Kennewick Rotary Club. Jim understood the importance of tourism and travel as key components to economic development in our community and made countless efforts to make sure that the Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau shared in his accomplishments and in growing the industry. Whether securing a new airline into the community or announcing new routes, he allowed the Bureau to share in the celebration. He was always thinking about how the Bureau could market the Tri-Cities to travelers as they passed through the airport. It was Jim's idea to display Tri-Cities images and Bureau information at the baggage claim area so that travelers' first visit to the area would include an introduction to all of the great things about the region, some of the things you saw on our commercials. It was Jim who allowed the Bureau to use some premium floor space right in the center of the lobby for a kiosk to display visitor guides and other valuable information on the Tri-Cities, because Jim got it. The name of the game is to get people to come here, spend their money with local businesses, have a great experience, and then get them to make a return visit and a return visit and a return visit. He is someone all of us respected, admired, and thought of as a friend. For us, Jim Marash will always be remembered as a consummate professional and a consummate good guy. I am pleased to announce the posthumous award of Travel Tourism Champion of the Year to Jim Marash. At this time, I would like to call Lana Marash to the podium to accept the award.
I want you all to know how much Jim appreciated all of you. He would be humbled and proud to be honored in this manner. But I think he would be the first to tell you that the good things that happen for our communities are not the result of just one person. The Tri-Cities as a community has always supported aviation. When push came to shove, the people in our region, the community leaders, stepped up to help ensure that we have the kind of air service that we have today. I think, I'd like to paraphrase something that Andrew Carnegie said when I tell you that Jim might say to you that the Tri-Cities is a group of common people who can come together as a team and obtain uncommon results. Thank you.
Hey kids, smile. Hello. I don't want to see you.
2011 Tourism Trade Show event. My name is Jordan Young, so I'm going to do example for the next couple of hours here. And as we celebrate the accomplishments of the Tri-Cities tourism industry. All right, first of all, we're going to be giving away a lot of great prizes tonight, and we want all of you to have these notes.
No, that's okay.
Now, once you have that completely filled out, just turn it in right up here, and you'll be entered to win our grand prize for the evening. It's a really great prize donated by BJ Patel, A1 Hospitality. It includes overnight accommodations at the Columbia River Gorge Hotel, and number 2, Champagne welcome. We will be holding a prize here. Welcome to the passports in just a little while. Make sure you get those filled.
Hey kids. Hey kids.
First, that is correct. Crystal just won a 2-night stay at the Coach and Rosen Bed and Breakfast. Congratulations.
Hey.